A phone launched in 2026 with a Snapdragon 8 Elite processor, a 3200 nit AMOLED display, a 6500 mAh battery, and IP68 water resistance. The price? $399. The iPhone 16 Pro Max has a slower screen brightness, a smaller battery, and costs $1,199. 3 times the price. Worse specs on paper. So why do people still buy it? Because the phone industry is not selling technology. It is selling identity. The phone in your pocket tells the world who you are, or who you want to be. And the biggest brands have figured out that identity is worth more than specs. They charge $1,000, not because the phone costs $1,000 to build, but because you will pay $1,000 to feel like the kind of person who carries one. Today I am exposing 5 phone brands that are robbing you blind, and 5 hidden gems that deliver flagship performance at half the price or less. Apple is the most profitable phone company in history. Not the biggest, not the most innovative, the most profitable. And that profitability comes directly from your wallet. The iPhone 16 Pro Max starts at $1,199. The price has climbed roughly 15% over the past 3 generations, while the year-over-year improvements have gotten smaller and smaller. The camera is slightly better. The chip is slightly faster. The screen is slightly bigger. Slightly every year, at a higher price. But here is the part Apple really does not want you to think about. The features Apple introduces as groundbreaking often exist in competitors 2 years earlier. Always on display. 120 Hz refresh rate. USB-C charging. Customizable home screens. Every single one arrived on Android phones years before Apple adopted them. What Apple actually sells is the ecosystem. iMessage, AirDrop, Apple Watch integration, FaceTime. Once you are inside, leaving costs you your convenience. That lock-in is the product. The phone is just the entry fee. Samsung's Galaxy S25 Ultra costs $1,299. At that price, you are getting diminishing returns so thin they are almost invisible. The camera bump from the S24 Ultra to the S25 Ultra is measurable only in controlled lab conditions. The processor improvement is real but irrelevant for anyone not running benchmark software competitively. The design change? Slightly rounder corners. That is the $1,200 flagship upgrade for 2025. Samsung's trick is the same one they use in televisions. They make the Ultra the aspirational product, the one in every ad, every store display, every YouTube thumbnail. Then they price it so high that the $399 Galaxy A56 sitting in the same store looks like a bargain by comparison. And the A56 genuinely gives you 80% of the S25 experience. Samsung knows this. The Ultra is not a product for value-conscious buyers. It is a pricing anchor designed to make everything below it feel reasonable. Google makes excellent software. Their hardware track record tells a different story. The Pixel 9 Pro costs $999. And Google's phones have a documented history of hardware reliability problems. Overheating under sustained load. Cracked screens from normal use. Bluetooth connectivity drops. Each generation fixes old issues while introducing new ones. The Pixel camera is exceptional, arguably best in class for computational photography. But a $999 phone should not have reliability question marks. At that price, hardware should be as flawless as the software. The frustrating part? Google's own budget phone, the Pixel 9a, delivers most of the Pixel software experience, including all Google AI features, at less than half the price. Google is simultaneously robbing you with the 9 Pro and offering you the escape route with the 9a. Motorola charges $800 for the Edge Plus. At that price, you are competing with OnePlus, Samsung, and Xiaomi, all of which deliver cleaner experiences. Motorola's biggest problem is bloatware. Out of the box, the Edge Plus comes loaded with pre-installed apps you did not ask for and cannot easily remove. The update track record is shorter than Samsung or Google. You will get fewer years of software support for the same money. And the build quality, while fine, does not match the premium feel of competitors at this price. Motorola makes excellent phones under $400. The Edge 50 Pro and the Moto G Power are genuine value picks. But at $800, you are paying flagship prices for a mid-range software experience. Nothing is the brand that runs on hype. The transparent back, the glyph interface LED lights that blink in patterns for notifications. The marketing that positions nothing as the rebellious alternative to boring smartphones. Here is what happens after 2 weeks with a nothing phone. You stop looking at the lights. You stop showing people the transparent back. The novelty fades. And you are left with a mid-range phone that costs more than it should because the packaging was exciting. Nothing makes genuinely interesting design choices. But interesting design and good value are different things. And when the glow fades, the spec sheet has to stand on its own. At the nothing phone's price, the spec sheet does not hold up against what Xiaomi, OnePlus, and Poco offer. 5 brands exposed. Now let me show you where the real value lives. OnePlus invented the term flagship killer. And the 15R proves they still deserve it. The 15R runs a top-tier processor, an ultra-smooth AMOLED display, and Oxygen OS, one of the cleanest Android skins available. GSM Arena placed it at the top of their 2026 flagship killer guide. The 5700 square millimeter vapor chamber is the largest cooling system in its class, meaning sustained performance, not just benchmark spikes. OnePlus has committed to 4 years of OS updates and 5 years of security patches. At its price, no other phone offers this combination of performance, software longevity, and thermal management. Xiaomi partnered with Leica, the legendary German camera company. The result is the 15T Pro, which GSM Arena called a solid all-rounder that delivers impressive value. Superb performance, great display, stellar battery life, and an excellent camera across all 3 rear lenses: 50-megapixel main, 50-megapixel telephoto, and 12-megapixel ultra-wide. This phone competes with the Samsung S25 Ultra in camera quality and beats it in battery life and charging speed at roughly half the price. Poco is Xiaomi's sub-brand built specifically to undercut everyone. The F8 Pro runs a Snapdragon 8 Elite processor. That is the same chip inside the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. The display hits 3500 nits brighter than the iPhone. And it has liquid-cooled 5.0 thermal management that keeps the chassis under 42 degrees even during extended gaming sessions. The price? Roughly $400 for a phone that benchmarks against devices costing 3 times more. If you are a gamer on a budget, the Poco F8 Pro is the most unfair deal in the entire smartphone market. Samsung makes the list twice, once as a villain, once as a hero. Because the Galaxy A56 at $400 is Samsung's own hidden gem. TechRadar called it the best budget phone of 2025. Great camera results, flagship-level display, premium design, and all-day battery life. 7 years of software updates, same as the $1,200 S25 Ultra. The A56 proves that Samsung knows how to build value. They just choose not to at the flagship level. Realme is the brand that gets the least attention and deserves the most. GSM Arena included the Realme GT in their 2026 flagship killer roundup, alongside OnePlus and Xiaomi. Realme packs flagship processors, high refresh AMOLED displays, and fast charging into phones that cost less than most people expect. They are not as polished as OnePlus. The software is not as clean. But the raw specs per dollar ratio is among the highest in the entire industry. Realme is the answer to the question nobody asks: what if a phone company just gave you the best hardware at the lowest price and stopped talking about it? 5 brands charging you for identity. 5 brands selling you actual technology. The gap between a $400 Poco and a $1,200 iPhone is not $800 of engineering. It is $800 of branding, ecosystem lock-in, and the feeling of pulling a specific logo out of your pocket. That feeling is real. I am not going to pretend it does not exist. But knowing what it costs is the difference between choosing it and being trapped by it. Like this video if it opened your eyes. Subscribe for the last one in this series. I am ranking wireless earbuds from garbage to God tier. And the $20 brand that beats $300 competitors will change how you think about audio forever. See you there.